Last Friday, there was you can say, surprising statement that was made by Joe Biden. After finishing his Pilates and spin class while he was on vacation over in Lake Tahoe, Joe Biden came out to speak briefly with a gaggle of reporters. And during that brief interaction, he said that he's planning to request more money from Congress in order to develop a new coronavirus vaccine. And he added that it will be likely recommended to everyone, regardless of whether they've taken the previous shots or not. Take a listen.
President, can you say anything about the uptick of COVID cases and the new variant?
Yes, I can. Matter of fact, I signed off this morning on a proposal we have to present to the Congress a request for additional funding for a new vaccine that is necessary, that works. And tentatively, not decided finally yet, tentatively it is recommended that, or would likely be recommended that everybody get it, no matter whether they got it before or not.
So, as he mentioned in that brief statement, Joe Biden signed off on a proposal to be sent off to Congress in order to request new funding towards developing a new vaccine, quote, that works. Furthermore, as you just heard, he said that it will likely be recommended to everyone in the country, regardless of whether they've gotten a shot before or not. Now, that statement of his, it came as a response to the rise in COVID cases, at least that some regions in the country are experiencing, a bit too perfectly timed with the upcoming election. Here's specifically how the Hill publication describes the situation. Quote, new vaccines containing the version of the Omicron strain XBB.1.5 are already being developed by Pfizer, Novavax, and Moderna. However, the virus's continuing mutation will likely necessitate updated vaccines. Although, whether or not this requested funding will actually come through is another question. For your reference, last fall, Joe Biden likewise asked for over $9 billion more from Congress for COVID-related measures, but that request was denied. Regardless, though, since we're generally on the topic of government investment, there's something else worth mentioning. The fact that outside of COVID, the federal government has recently invested $24 million in mRNA technology to treat other things, like cancers, autoimmune disorders, infectious diseases, and so on. Specifically, many people aren't aware, but the Biden administration recently launched a new biomedical research agency. It's called the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, otherwise known as ARPA-H. And according to a statement that came out of the White House just last week, it's this exact agency which is providing the $24 million investment to the project. And that project, just for your reference, is called the, quote, Curing the Uncurable via RNA-Encoded Immunogen Tuning Project. And the reason that it has such a weird long name is because they wanted the acronym to read Cure It. And so the project is essentially the Cure It project. And according to that statement from the White House, here is what this $24 million investment in mRNA technology is supposed to accomplish. Quote, last year, as part of his unity agenda, President Biden worked with Democrats and Republicans in Congress to establish and fund ARPA-H to drive breakthroughs to prevent, detect, and treat cancer and other diseases. Through Cure It, ARPA-H is now moving aggressively to deliver on their mission and to advance the goals of the Biden Cancer Moonshot and the President's Unity Agenda. The aim of Cure It is to create a toolbox of mRNA and related technologies that could be used to, quote-unquote, turn on helpful immune responses, such as prompting immune cells to target and attack cancerous tumors. And it's worth mentioning that this particular project is quite important to Joe Biden's presidency, evidenced by the fact that while he was still on the campaign trail, he promised his supporters that if he was elected, he would cure cancer. Take a listen.
If I'm elected president, you're going to see the single most important thing that changes in America is we're going to cure cancer.
Regardless, setting that aside, this Cure It project is being led by a team over at Emory University in Atlanta in conjunction with another team over at Yale University. And in terms of the specifics of this mRNA vaccine cancer research, here was what the Emory University officials wrote about it. Quote, immune modulation is a way to enhance the body's immune response. The conventional methods of immune modulation, which are vaccines, antibodies, small molecules, and cell-based therapies, face limitations in their ability to engage immunity and manufacturing complexity. To overcome these limitations, researchers at the Emory University's Santa Angelo lab will develop a novel class of mRNA-based drugs to precisely turn on or turn off genes in individual immune cells. In other words, the mRNA-based drugs will directly target immune cells within the body, prompting the creation of target proteins that may improve immune function and fight against cancer. Now, alongside Emory University, this federal grant will also be shared with researchers over at Yale University. And there, they published a much more detailed outline for what these researchers are trying to accomplish and which specific immune cells they're trying to activate. Quote, combining Emory University's expertise in mRNA and Yale University's expertise in dendritic cells, the most prominent initiators of selective immune reactions, the multi-institutional team will be studying how to advance technology from the burgeoning mRNA vaccine field to program dendritic cells to produce therapeutic immune reactions with personalized cancer vaccines as the ultimate goal. And just to pause here for a super quick moment, if you've never heard of them before, dendritic cells were first discovered back in the year 2011. In fact, the people who discovered them won the Nobel Prize for that particular year in 2011. And these dendritic cells, they've been found to play an important role in the body's immune response. They basically degrade pathogens in our bodies so that our body's T cells can come in and recognize that pathogen and be able to mark it for the future, so that in the future, T cells know to degrade that exact type of pathogen. And from what I've read, these dendritic cells appear to be the frontline shock troops of the immune system. They come in, smash the pathogen, and then the T cell comes in and absorbs all the information so that they know in the future that that's a pathogen they should be looking out for. Regardless, the Yale University statement continues, quote, the teams are working together to use mRNA to program the dendritic cells to process antigenic proteins, thereby triggering selective immunological responses. Dendritic cells are key players in the immune system's capacity to destroy cancer, serving as the ignition of the immune system. For decades, dendritic cells have been considered the tantalizing holy grail for initiating preventative and therapeutic immune reactions. Investigators envisioned that by loading an individual's dendritic cells with antigens in the lab, they could develop into cellular personalized vaccines for those patients. But until scientists could understand how the body produces dendritic cells, where and when they are needed, artificial methods were required to produce them outside the body in order to then arm them with the antigens that could serve as the GPS directing them to the enemy, unchecked cancer cells and dangerous microbes. However, now these Yale University researchers are hoping to combine the mRNA knowledge of the other researchers over at Emory University to be able to pre-program these dendritic cells to fight cancers that are specific to an individual. Only time will tell whether this approach of theirs will actually bear fruit. If you'd like to read more about either the specifics of this Cure It project, or if you'd like to read the description that came out of Yale University, it's pretty good. It's actually pretty long and it goes into pretty good detail. I'll throw all these research notes down into the description box below this video for you to peruse at your own leisure. And I will mention it's that same description box right below those like and subscribe buttons, both of which I hope you take a quick moment to smash so this video can reach ever more people via the YouTube algorithm. Now, lastly, I'd like to mention that if you are sick and tired of all the censorship on this platform, as well as all the other platforms out there, you're in luck because the Epoch Times has recently extended its awesome sale on subscriptions, just 25 cents a week for the whole year, which, if you do the math, works itself out to just be a single $1 a month. And so if you've been on the fence about subscribing to the Epoch Times, maybe you've been going over to the website, but you're getting hit with a paywall over and over and over again, and it's getting a little bit frustrating, well, perhaps take the sale as an opportunity to try the Epoch Times out for yourself. I'll throw a link down into the description box below this video. You can just click on the link and head on over to the sale page and get access to everything. All the documentaries, all the videos, all the movies, all the awesome infographics, the deep analysis, the articles, basically everything that we publish, you will get unlimited access to all of it. That link is right there at the top of the description box below. I hope you check it out. You can, of course, cancel at any time, but I'm sure that you will not. I'm sure that you will love it. Again, that link is right there at the top of the description box below. I hope you check it out. And then, until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed. Most importantly, stay free.